Today, I stare at my life ahead of me. I have the opportunity to jump in and open my own boutique. I can make it as beautiful as I like. I can enjoy every moment of this amazing experience. Or I can allow fear to overshadow my every decision. I can live each moment in trepidation, making exit plans in case it all goes wrong. Welcome to the Living Inside Out podcast. I'm your host, Toks, entrepreneur with 20 years of experience, founder of the Baby Cot Shop, a luxury nursery furniture brand and design studio in Chelsea, London. I also founded The Revealery, an invitation-only exclusive furniture company. I'm a TEDx speaker and a mindset coach. This podcast is about embracing mindset shifts through life, business, and faith. Each week, we dive beneath the surface to uncover and challenge the limiting beliefs that hold us back, exploring how to live from the inside out. I believe God has equipped us with the resources to live the life we truly desire. So, if you're ready to use your natural gifts and step into your best self, let's get started. If we are connected on social media, you may have come across the news I shared a couple of weeks ago that the Baby Cot Shop will be opening her first concession in Harrods. And in case you're not familiar with Harrods, Harrods is the most iconic store in the world. So when God says you are not the tail, but you are the head, this is exactly what he means. Am I nervous? Yes. Excited? In awe? That too. I came across a journal entry I wrote when I was about to open our Kings Road, Chelsea location, and I'm going to read a portion of it to you. But before I do that, thank you for tuning in to Living Inside Out. I'm so excited. Every time I record this podcast, there is a sense of completion and satisfaction and certainty that I feel because I'm in my space. I know I was born to do this. In this moment, when I'm recording, I feel complete. I just know that this is what I'm meant to be doing. So thank you, because I wouldn't have a podcast if I didn't have listeners. I mean, I probably still would because I've got so much to say and to share that I will probably still record it. But you make it worthwhile. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for listening. And if this is your first time, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd love to connect with you on social media. My handle is Toks on LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, a little bit of Threads, and Facebook. I'd also like to know how you got to hear about Living Inside Out. Was it referred to you? Did you stumble on it? Have you heard about it somewhere? Was it social media? Let me know. And finally, if you haven't subscribed, please do. When you get to the end of today's episode, if you think this is something I could live with, which I hope you will feel that way, then I want you to subscribe. You can leave a comment. Some platforms let you leave a comment, like Apple and Spotify. And many of them also let you rate the episode or maybe rate the entire podcast. So a 5-star rating, thank you very much, would do me good. So here's the journal entry I wrote. Today, I stare at my life ahead of me. I have the opportunity to jump in and open my own boutique. I can make this experience as beautiful as I like. I can enjoy every moment of this amazing experience, delighting in each component, clicking into place. I can allow my creativity to run free, unhindered by what ifs and other people's opinions. I can live vicariously each day and not contemplate in fear every tiny decision, like taking ages to order the store heater or refusing to start the marketing campaign because it should be done by experts. I can do all that. Or I can allow fear to shadow my every decision. I can leave each moment in trepidation, making exit plans in case it all goes wrong. I can stop myself from feeling completely joyful so that my fall from grace won't be too hard and unexpected. I can brood over the fact that I raised less money than I would have liked, then daydream about how nice it would have been if I had raised more. I can despair and whine about how life is unfair. Today, I choose to accept the reality of myself, others, and life. I accept the reality and I embrace it. I rejoice in it because I have only one life and I will party with it. And I write a little bit more and I add, don't worry, Toks, the joy won't run out. Your strength is renewed each day. Don't try to stretch the experience by saving it for last. Enjoy today, for tomorrow is another day with its own joys. So I wrote this 8.5 years ago, and it is not a coincidence that I stumbled on it the same week I announced our partnership with Harrods, because the same nervousness and uncertainty have showed up again. I've shared this on the podcast, the two types of fears, which is recognized by the Hebrew Bible: Pachad, which is the debilitating, paralyzing fear, and Yirah, which is the awe-inspiring fear experienced when you're stepping into a space that's bigger than you. This is the same fear that Moses experienced at the sight of the burning bush. You know, he's standing in the presence of God. He's seen a bush that's on fire, but it's not actually burning. So he knew this was weird, unusual, and huge. And there was a level of fear he felt, but it's an awe-inspiring fear. It wasn't, let me be scared and run away, because if you notice, he went to the bush, he didn't run away from it. And so I find that in this season, I'm experiencing both. And I'm certain that you too can recall a time, and maybe even now, when you've had one or perhaps even both of these fears. Today, I want to talk about how to press forward when you feel afraid. It is uncanny that, as I mentioned, this episode is coming at a time where I've been battling fear. And, it's only 10 days from now that we're going to be opening in Harrods, this day that I'm recording the podcast. Most people are happy for me. They're even ecstatic. Like, I get calls, how is it going with Harrods? How are the plans? How's everything going? But up until recently, me, anxiety has overshadowed my days. I haven't felt the same ecstasy that my friends and my family feel. But you know what's funny is when I look back at my greatest achievements, I see every single one of them flanked by fear, which is annoying. As I shared in my journal entry, I wasn't enjoying the moment. I had a choice between enjoy the journey or fret through it all. And almost every time I have fretted through it all. And so just yesterday, I was talking to two of my closest friends and going back down the journey of when I first opened the Baby Cot Shop on the King's Road. And at the time, I remember sending out invitations to a select number of people for the grand opening. And someone in particular replied and said, I'd be careful if I were you. Retail is risky. My company can't afford to have a shop on the King's Road. We can't afford their rents. And this person in question that was sending me this message in response to my invitation, at the time she had over 100 branches of her own brand. And, so by all definitions, hugely successful, by all definitions of the world, hugely successful. Um, and again, by the same world's definition, I was tiny. I'm trying to open my tiny little boutique. You've got multiple, but you're telling me that I need to be careful. It's risky. They can't afford it. I don't think that my words here are capturing the essence and the spirit behind the words that she said, because they were like a dagger that went straight through my heart. And honestly, it put fear in me. I went cold with fear. Now, when I think about it, perhaps it wasn't just the fear that I felt, but it was whatever dodgy spirit came with those words. That's what total ignored totally ignored my invitation and just went straight for the jugular, and it was not nice. Around the same time, there was someone else, this time a guy that I come to know, an acquaintance, and also hugely successful in the same industry. And I'd asked him for some help. He had marketed and grown his own business himself. So I asked him for some marketing help. And in the course of our conversation, I shared my sales figures with him. Whew, big mistake, because he was like, I don't know if you realize just how tough this is, what you're about to do. I would seriously rethink this if I were you. He did not respond to my request for help. He didn't say, okay, this is what you need to do to raise these figures. He didn't say anything like that. He just dissuaded me completely. By this time, I don't know if I'd signed the lease. Maybe I had, maybe I hadn't, but I don't think I had. I hadn't signed the lease, but I was prepping and already it was such a huge step for me that I was already in a state of anxiety, and these two people turned my anxiety into grave fear. Now, the interesting thing is both conversations with these individuals were not inspired from a place of joy or peace or confidence. The first lady, the reason I invited her was because I thought I needed weighty and successful people to validate what I was doing. That the presence of this successful woman will somehow uplift what I was doing. So it really came from putting my confidence not in God, but in man, and in what was logical and what my eyes perceived to be sensible. The second one, the guy, now that came from a place of fear, that I better quickly increase my sales so I can survive what I'm about to step into. So the first lesson I learned is that the flesh gives birth to fear. Fear doesn't show up randomly without having an opening. Now, think about it. Think about the decisions you made when you were either fearful or doubtful. And I don't mean the timing, because you can have doubt and fear and still make a powerful decision. So it's not so much as the timing in which you made the decision, but that the decision came from a place of doubt, that it was doubt or it was fear that created and pushed you into that decision. So ask yourself, where is this decision coming from? Because it's coming from somewhere. Recently, I was speaking to someone who was in two minds about how to move forward. Should she close her business and continue on the new path she was on, or should she keep it going and run it alongside? And that simple question I asked her, which is, where is the decision to close it coming from? Instantly, she realized that it wasn't coming from her spirit. Now, if you're a regular listener, you'd know that the foundation for living inside out is the knowledge and the acknowledgement that we are made up of spirit, soul, and body. Now, once you understand that truth, you'll be able to decide the source of your belief. You would know whether it's coming from your spirit, which is one with God, or from your mind, as a result of previously consumed material or perhaps past experiences or even your emotions. Or it could also be coming from your body, either through cravings or impulses or something you have seen or something you're looking at that's telling you, instructing you, you should do that as well. So it's not enough to simply banish fear. You've got to name its source and you've got to shame the source. If the source of your decision is coming from a place that is a lower dimensional space, i.e., your flesh, or even your mind, just your mind, and not inspired by your spirit, then it is likely going to give birth to fear. So, my first question and my first point is, know the source of your fear. So I asked myself in this season, what am I afraid will happen and what is informing that belief? I realized that I was afraid of failing. Just like I was afraid of failing 8 years ago, I was afraid that I was not going to succeed in this. Like, what if it doesn't work? What if we're not ready for open day? What if, what if, what if? And the second question I asked myself was, who gave me that information? What is the source of that information? What's the source of failure? And I realized that partly it was habit, the habit of feeling anxious when you step into a new project or a bigger space. But it is also pre acquired information, stories I've read of failure, experiences I have had and given meaning to, because we don't just have experiences or see things. We give meaning to what we experience and what we see, which is, if you've again been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you've heard me say that it is not the circumstance that causes the pain or the fear, it is the meaning we're giving to that circumstance. So, what happened was my imagination went to work to create a believable picture. And I also found that wherever I turned, there was evidence that justified the picture that said, yep, what you believe is true, what you fear is real. Now, there's a part of you that says that is called the reticular activating system. It's a small little part of our brain at the back of our heads that allows us or enables us to see what we are desiring. For example, remember when you were looking to buy, let's say you're looking to buy a car, a model of a car, or let's say maybe a green dress for an event. So I remember when I was getting married and I was looking at wedding dresses, I'm so sure that for the next 2 years, all I saw were wedding dresses because I had looked everywhere. Like you suddenly start seeing bridal stores. I have people who come into the Baby Cot Shop. We're on the King's Road on a high street, and there are people who live around the corner. They live around the shop. They go past it every day, and then they get pregnant. And then they walk in and say, how long have you been here? When did you open? They've walked past it, but they never saw it because their RAS, the reticular activating system, did not inspire them to see it or did not allow them to see it until now when they're having a baby. So, whatever your mind is filled with and whatever you desire, you will find the physical version wherever you go. And it's not just what you desire, but it's also what you fear because there is a picture that's been formed in your mind. Whether it's a good picture or a bad picture, you're going to find evidence that that thing is real wherever you go. You also need to know that there is evidence for both good and evil all around us. So if you fill your mind with success, you're going to find evidence that tells you you are going to be successful in this thing. If you fill your mind with failure, if you're like, woe is me, every time I try this, it fails, you're going to see things that would be markers of a pattern of failure. You're going to be like, yep, I knew that was going to happen. And then, yep, this is going to happen, and so on. So, something else I realize is that what you see depends on which part of you is leading. Like I said, if it's your flesh, then you are going to gather physical components as evidence. And those components, anything physical is limited. It has a beginning and an end. I shared on my Instagram stories yesterday about the limited nature of finite things, that anything that you can see or perceive has a beginning and an end. Even life. You could live here. My grandma was 104, so when she died, my maternal grandmother, she still passed away. She just seemed like she was old forever, but she was here, but she still passed away. We're all going to go. So anything you can detect with your senses has an end. Nothing that you can perceive is going to last forever. But the things that you cannot perceive is constantly growing. It's in a state of being. It doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end. It's a bit like love. Love is eternal, love is constant, but love is invisible. Yes, I know people fall out of love, but they don't fall out of the ability to love or to be loved. So whatever part of you is leading you is going to determine what components it's going to gather. If you're being led by your flesh, it will gather physical components as evidence. It would gather limited things. Um, for example, if money is the issue and you are using your flesh or your body to determine your next steps, you will only see what you have in your account and you will be limited by the extent of what you can borrow. You'll be limited by the extent of what you can borrow, i.e., you might look at your credit score and say, okay, this is only so much the bank's going to lend me. You might look at your friends and family and say, okay, I know these two people don't have money, but that one does. This is as far as I go. When you live by the flesh, you live a very limited life. But if your spirit, which is connected to God, is leading, the components used to build your future and build and manifest your vision, those components are invisible and therefore limitless. So, what I needed to do in my state of fear and anxiety was lean into prayer, go into the spirit realm, and not try and solve the problem physically. I needed to meditate on the living word of God, and I only needed to speak to people who spoke the word to me. It follows then that the people in your space matter. There's a saying I love: in times of peace, prepare for war, which means now is the time to curate your space. Now is the time to flood your space only with life giving material, whether it is your social media feed, the books you read, the music you listen to, the people in your life. Now is the time. Because in the time of war, when you turn around, whether you turn to the left or to the right, you look up, you look down, you will encounter only words of life to keep you going. So in this time, I shared my concerns with my friends. And do you know, not one person said to me, I agree with you. Maybe you shouldn't go through with this, or, let's hope it works. Not a single person in my space has dissuaded me from moving forward or encouraged me to remain in a state of fear. I've had my friends say things to me. I spoke to my dear friend Toks yesterday, and she didn't even know what I was going through. I hadn't spoken to her in a while because it's been so busy. And instantly, she just started raining prayers on me and declarations of greatness and do you know who you are? Like, oh, and she wasn't saying it to gas me up. She was saying it because she had seen it and she believed it and she spoke what she saw. The people in your space matter. And then hung out with Titi yesterday and did not get home until like nearly 1 in the morning. It was wonderful. The same thing. So where is those thoughts coming from, Talks? That's how Titi talks. You've heard her episode. You need to go back and listen to it if you haven't. And, just really analyzed from a logical perspective, but also a spiritual perspective. And by the end of yesterday, I was literally on top of the world. I was on fire. The people that I had access to, the only people in my space are people who will speak life to me. And you need to make sure that you do the same. So, lesson one: the flesh will always give birth to fear. The flesh is not capable of creating spiritual realities. The flesh is the servant. Your spirit creates the reality and passes the instructions to the flesh. Your flesh must only act on the instructions of your spirit, which is one with God. Flesh gives birth to fear. Number two, know the source of your fear. Where is that fear coming from? Where are the questions coming from? Where is your decision coming from? Is it coming from what your eyes have seen in the physical realm? Is it coming from philosophy and what other people have done? Is it coming from logic? Like, this is the logical thing to do because this is what this person on Instagram did and it worked for her. Or is it coming from your spirit? Your spirit is a part of you that has seen the beginning to the end of your journey on earth, and it knows the way to go because it's connected to the God who created you. And number three, who is leading you. So not just knowing the source of the fear, but know who is leading you. Know what part of you is leading you. And the biggest one for me is curating your space. In a time of peace, you might feel like you don't need those words of life and you're okay. And yet you're hanging out with your buddies in the city and the people who are on top of the world, and they might not even be spiritual people. And that might be okay because we need those people too. We need to learn as well and sometimes be mentored and all of that. However, you must make sure you have the right people in your space that support your dream and support your vision. So, as you step into your own Harrods moment, remember, fear may walk with you, but it doesn't get to lead you. Don't let it lead you. It will want to lead because it's a powerful emotion, but don't let it become the leader. Instead, let your spirit lead. Let faith hold your hand and choose to see beyond your present reality. Allow the future to inspire you. Allow the picture that your spirit has birthed to inspire you. Know that your spirit already knows the way. I cannot wait to catch up with you next week, where I will be chatting with an inspiring young man, the youngest person yet that I've had on the podcast. Cannot wait. I look forward to next week. I've also got an announcement to make, so make sure you don't miss it. Well, don't miss it, period, even if I don't have an announcement to make. Have a wonderful week, and please don't forget to subscribe and share this episode.